get to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Friday, everybody. I am really excited for today's guest. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we see out there in the news right now, headlines wise, especially in regards to transportation. But I feel like there's a lot of legislative action that is going to come down, and it's already kind of hit that point out there with some injunctions that have been filed against the Department of Transportation to kind of stop some of these things. And we're here to kind of break this down a little bit further. But most importantly, you guys, what can we do as an industry to put best practices forward out there? So I have the president and CEO of the Minnesota Trucking Association, John Hausladen, on the show today. John, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with us today.
Well, so great to be with you here today and with your guests.
No, it's been a while since I've had the MTA on the show. And like I always like to remind everybody, the MTA and Minnesota Trucking has a complete soft spot in my heart. It's where my entire family originated from and operated from for the longest time. So anytime I get a chance to talk with you guys, it's always an honor.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we enjoy the work you do. It's been fun to have you at Minnesota. You've been at our annual conference. You broadcast live from there. So it's fun to reconnect.
No, absolutely. So what's new? There's a lot going on in the industry right now, John, and it's kind of, you know, with a lot of the headlines that are out there, it's kind of tough to decipher what's real and what's not, what's the top priority, what's going on out there. So how are you guys really staying on top of everything that's kind of coming down the pipe right now?
Well, one of the things that is amazing about trucking is that we are a unique community, and we're a community in that best sense. And there's an executive that runs a state trucking association for virtually every state. I think there may be only one that doesn't right now. And so that is a great group for me to talk to do best practices, to learn how to do this job and continue to do it well. But more importantly, to create joint action on things that affect all of us. And so we have a group called the Trucking Association Executives Council. It's our group of folks who run state trucking associations, men and women across the country. And one of the things that we did is, on our own, we said, there's a lot of big issues. We need to develop an action plan and give our best recommendations on what should be done for some of the challenges facing the industry. Mm-hmm. So we jointly issued a report called The Fight for Fairness and Safety, Paving the Way for a Trucking Resurgence. And this is really a summary and action plan by virtually all the state trucking associations, what we think can be done to frankly improve our game, to ensure that people are who they say they are, and they hold the industry to the highest standards, and frankly hold the government to the highest standards in doing its job.
No, I agree with that. And, when you sent this report over to me the other day, I mean, I've spent some time looking through it, and, it also, a lot of it reminds me, a lot of the guests that I have on my show, John, the legitimate business owners that are in this industry right now, who are, they've all kind of collectively said their biggest hurdle is they feel like they're getting punished for doing the right thing out there. They're getting punished for making sure that all of their paperwork is clean. They have the right insurance coverage. They have all of that stuff, because it's gotten to the point where there's so many cracks that all of these fraudsters and illegitimate operators are able to sneak in and continue to operate. And that's what's killing them. That's what's killing American trucking in my eyes. And it's like, when I was reading through a lot of this, what you guys were putting out there, it's like, I align, like, I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here. I align with like almost all of it. And it's what I've been talking about on this show here is it's like, I want to eliminate any and every loophole that allows people to fraudulently operate their business, not just in trucking, but entirely. Because it's like, as somebody like myself, who I like to think I'm a legal and ethical business owner out there, I have to hold myself to a certain standards, and I want to see those standards applied across the board, because nobody should get a free pass to side skirt any laws that makes them, I'm not going to say they don't pay taxes, but not follow the same rules and regulations that I do.
Well, that's exactly what our members feel, and the association members from across the country, is this. People join associations because they want to do it right. People join associations because they're committed to best practice and safety first, but compliance is this big component. And you've had guests that say it is so personal. There are so many of my members that are still family-run businesses. Their personal equity, their family name, years and years of the way they've operated and run their business, and their future is tied into this. And so they take it very personally when they know they're doing the best they can to be safe, to comply, to hire staff, to acquire technology, to just do all the things to be a good above board legal operator. And when they see any driver or any fleet that is just not doing that, it first of all, it's wrong. It creates a lot of safety issues, but there's this fairness issue, and it makes it so uncompetitive. So trucking has always been about being fair, giving people opportunities with playing by the same rules. And really, that's a lot about what this report addresses.
Yeah. So like, it mentions in there like 90% of trucking like carriers out there currently operate like without a safety rating. How is technology going to change this to bring greater visibility out there? Because the safety rating thing has kind of been a thing here over these last couple of years from an onboarding with brokers perspective, is if they have no safety rating, or if there's any delays in that, they're not able to get set up.
Sure. Well, here's what I would say. If you take the report, there's 7 things we address, and I'll just list them and then jump into you. But we've identified 7 areas. CDL integrity, that's crucial for safety. Mm-hmm. The MICMIS overhaul, that's really the database that government uses to talk to each other. It captures all the data. We want to ensure that we have cross-border integrity when drivers are coming across with freight. We want to deal with the non-domiciled issues involving drivers whose credentials are not accurate or valid. Again, we want to address the English language proficiency, because we know that proficiency is critical, again, for safety and functioning. We want to combat fraud, and that's pretty broad. And then we want to strengthen e-log. So that's a lot. So back to your point, if you summarize all that, I think what the report says, and this is largely more directed to the federal government than state governments, it's do your job, enforce what you have on the books, do it faster, and do it smarter. I think if you were to boil it down, and I think one of the areas that, frankly, the federal government is behind is the bad actors can just move so fast. They can set up shop, they can do bad things, they can reincarnate, they just move on and on and on and on and on. And so for a very archaic system, you can never catch up. So it's not that technology solves everything, but there are now some technology solutions, we think, to a lot of these categories where the government could use artificial intelligence to do a better job with data mining. I mean, if you think about this, if you have people applying for credentials, whether it's a driving credential or an operating authority or filing an insurance document, you can use AI very quickly to discover patterns. Like, I've seen this address 6 times in the last month. Why is that appearing? Red flag that.
Yeah.
I see this name or iterations. You can more quickly focus enforcement and try and figure out what's going on here. Whereas now, again, the bad actors, they just reincarnate, move, and we're behind. So I think a lot of this is using tools like that.
I think that that is like, I think the most logical step number one out there, because, you can call them chameleon carriers, the reincarnation, all of that stuff is it's like they're able to open multiple MCs, multiple authorities. I mean, it's very well publicized that there are a couple of addresses out there across the United States. One in California comes to mind, one up in Wyoming that comes to mind, that there's like 1,000 different businesses registered at that one address in each location, right? So it's like, I have a very hard time accepting that they're not aware that this is all going on. And when that happens, it allows some of these companies that are doing this, again, they have one CDL holder, like we'll just use one driver, one truck, for example. I'm assuming they're all registered under that exact same stuff. So it's like, how can one truck operate for 100 different companies, or one driver operate for 100 different companies simultaneously?
Yes. And I think the challenge is we have good, honest, compliant fleets and drivers operating in an environment where there are others who are not. Mm-hmm. And how do you not sort of inconvenience the good guys and focus your energy on the bad guys, bad operators? And therein lies the challenge. And so technology is going to be a tool, but it's also a burden. I got to tell you a story. Where are we now? We're second week of January, about a fleet that was trying to use an online service, to be unnamed, to validate that they were who they were so they could be approved for getting brokered loads. And this particular service, you couldn't talk to a real person.
Yeah.
They were responsive with emails, and the emails kept going kind of to this loop, and it would get passed to different customer service representatives. And this poor trucking company went through hell for about 2 weeks because they couldn't get a real person to what had happened is they had an old email that they had decommissioned. It got appropriated by some bad actor, got used, it got linked to who they were, and they're red flagged. And they could not get out of this. I call it hell, but it was a purgatory. The good news is, and this is an example of the State Trucking Association, through my contacts, through other contacts, we actually were able to get some real person in that entity to take over this and help bring it to a resolution. But so we're going to use technology to focus on the bad guys, but technology creates so many barriers for the good guys. So that's something else we have to talk about and address.
No, I agree. I think that it's, and this is what some of the guests who have been on my show here over the last couple of months have all said. They're like, it's so hard for us to even show that we're legitimate. And then on top of it, it costs them a lot of money in technology fees to even operate with some of these services that are out there, just to show that they're valid. And it's like, it's almost to the point where it's like death by 1,000 cuts that it's happening to, the trucking industry as a whole, because not everybody out. I mean, it's like 96% of the industry is small business, right? Like, people look at the mega carriers, not saying mega carriers just have an unlimited supply of money that's out there, but, I look at this as somebody who's building a small business myself, I am always looking at my P&L. Where is my money going? Can I afford to continue with this service? Is this where my best use of my funds is? And it's like, it's getting to the point now where some of these carriers are like, do I pay for this or do I pay for insurance? Do I pay for this or do I pay for fuel? You know, it's like it shouldn't be this challenging for them to show that we are a legitimate service that is out there that's operating.
Yes, and I this example that I shared with you, this particular fleet, they are a small fleet. You know, I think their fleet number is probably around 10, and it's a family-owned, husband and wife, and we're in Minnesota, so they're grinding away at trying to resolve this problem, and we get a snap of cold weather. We have a couple of trucks go down that don't start, and they basically just have to put this problem aside and focus on keeping the truck running and somehow pick it back up. And in some of these small fleets, they're sharing credentials and they're logging on, but well, they're using one phone. They should only be using one, not both phones. You know, it's all of that stuff. So your point is, I think the smaller you are in an issue of technology, it's hard to find quick help to get you out of the morass sometimes. And so bigger fleets may have more resources, but they're replicating the problems too. So, you know, so what can we do is part of the plan isn't just the wailing and moaning, but you know, we do think, you know, under each of the 7 things that we identified, that there are things that can be done. Again, I think technology is going to play a role in whether it's cleaning data, scrubbing data, matching data sets, whether it is linking databases that already exist, flagging patterns. You know, those are some of the things that we're talking about. Again, I think the good news is that the federal government has addressed some of these things. They're working on some of them. So we asked them, it does create additional downstream impacts. So these issues like, you know, Minnesota was in the news because of non-domiciled CDLs, and fleets are trying to figure out now, what do we do with that? You know, fleets are just having to spend more. We asked the government to address it. They are, but the intensity and the speed and some of the downstream impacts, you know, we got to live with them now, and we're working through them.
What was the big thing that you guys noticed in the state of Minnesota in regards to the non-domiciled CDLs that you guys were talking about in this report? Is it one of those things? Because like I look at it is it the ones that, because I see the correlation between how CDLs are issued and with the non-domiciled ones that were out there, where it seems like there was no, like there's 2 camps that are falling into this. It's the ones that have the proper visa, that are labeled a non-domiciled CDL, that did it the right way, but it seems like there's a growing number of them that are operating on expired visas. They never actually did the necessary steps to get it, but they were issued a CDL. And then that CDL seemingly is valid in 3 different states. I mean, I just saw one recently where a guy had a CDL from the state of Ohio and the state of New York, same photo, same everything. Like how does it get to that point?
Well, again, zoom back from the non-domiciled piece. That's is making sure that, you know, when the essentially universal CDL was created, it was meant to be the one credential issued by one state that is recognized across all jurisdictions. Amen, you're done. And so there should never be duplicates or, you know, double hits, but they're there. So using technology as a tool to find that. I think the non-domiciled CDL issue, as we know, became a bigger issue because of high-profile crashes. And I think what we've said all along is a driver with an invalid CDL, regardless of the issue, is one too many for safety and for fleets and all the things we're trying to do. And the thing that we say to state government is, listen, just like with physicals, if you say a medical professional is trained and qualified to render a DOT physical, then we have to accept that. We're not going to determine whether where they got their medical degree, or if they're a chiropractor versus a MD or an osteopath. That's not on us. So we say, if you're going to issue a credential, then we have to trust it's valid. So you need to do your part. And I think as it related to Minnesota, I mean, it was all so in our universe of CDLs, I think the number was something around 2,100 non-domiciled CDLs in existence. When they did their audit of Minnesota, they pulled 75 of those. So they didn't audit the whole population. And of that 75, they found about a third had some issue, things you've already flagged. Either the credential issued beyond the work paper, or the work paper didn't get attached, digitally to the file, or they issued to someone from Canada or Mexico. I mean, it's all of those different things. The good news is I think Minnesota's going to fix it. We work hard and close with the driver and vehicle services folks. We have these conversations. We know that they need to fix it, and it's got to work. So I think they will. But in the swirl, you could say statistically a third of the non-domiciled CDLs were somehow out of compliance, but that was an extrapolation. But there were some, one's too many. So but pick your state, and whatever the news cycle is of the day, you can get more or less attention. But fundamentally, as a state association, we work hard with our state partners to make sure that they're being accurate, they have the resources, and if we see problems, we need to go on and help fix them, and not just attack and throw bombs. We need to fix them because we depend on this.
Yeah, I just looking at a lot of this stuff, because I know a lot of people instantly go party lines. They try and make it a left or a right issue, or a red or a blue issue out there about enforcement of some of these things. And in regards to with CDLs and with CDL fraud and everything else, I look at it as it's like, this to me is and this is just my opinion here. Is I'm like, if you're practicing interstate commerce, that should be held at like a federal standard, right? And I'm like, how do we clean this up? How do we remove any bias from this, where it's like, hey, if ELP is the main thing, and it's just showing that you're a valid company, like a one-time thing, it's like the pausing of any new issuances of any CDLs for whether it's 6 months or a year, have every driver go through, show that you're, you can speak, read everything English, you pass the English language proficiency. Again, I'm not saying this is ideal, but this is the only thing I can think of to where you can remove any and all biases, and then like expedite this as fast as possible to where it's like, hey, I'm valid, I'm legit. Yeah, it's annoying, but like we need to do this to where then if it goes into the FMCSA database where it's like, hey, this carrier, all of their drivers did this, boom, they have the check mark of approval that's out there, they are valid, and then somehow that data gets out there. Again, I feel like the technology and everything that is at our disposal right now is already there. Like, I don't think this would be as big of a deal. And this removes any and all biases that people can sit there and complain where it's like, oh, they're targeting this driver or that driver. No, every driver had to do it. It's done. It took 6 months. Now here we are. Now there's a list of 87,000, hypothetically 87,000 CDL holders that are out there that failed, that like their CDL pinged in multiple databases. They're removed from the road.
Well, again, I think our action plan that we talk about has elements of this. And oh, wow. How do you do this in a way, again, that doesn't inconvenience the fleets and drivers who have been doing it well all along, and puts them at great inconvenience because there are bad actors. And so that's where we continue as state organizations, national groups, have to work with the agencies to figure out the path forward to do that the best. Now, what we do know is going forward, we have a fresh start with any new credential. So that should be the easiest piece to say going forward, these are the standards, this is how we do it. And, one of the things is where do you put that proof of English language proficiency? Do you put it further earlier in the process so that, if they're, taking their written exam and sometime between that or incorporation with the skills exam, road test, it's assessed there. And if it's assessed there, it's done, right? So that's just another way you can adjust the system so you make sure you incorporate that. The retrospective stuff where people already holding the credentials, that's certainly the bigger challenge.
Yeah, it's one of those things though that I just look at it is because you can look at the news, you can pay attention to social media. People are always talking about biases in one way, shape, or form that is out there, and I just look at it as it's like if it's truly about somebody's ability to read and speak English, if that's the big sticking point that everybody wants to harp on, I look at it as again annoying, yes, but the faster we can get some form of that bridge crossed, I think the faster we're going to be able to kind of come to the end of the horizon, because it's like, I feel like when it truly boils down to it, you know, at least again, from my perspective here, John, no matter what, there are a lot of small businesses that are on razor thin margins right now that I don't know all of their P&Ls, but like they're financially bleeding themselves out of this market due to catastrophic failures over the years, right? I'm not saying the current administration's to blame here. Fortunately, they are spearheading and they're taking seemingly a lot of action that is out there. But then there has been, from my perspective, some catastrophic failures that have led to this. It's good to see that it's being fixed. It's good to see that there's a coalition of trucking associations that are out there that are like, hey, we got to protect the hardworking men and women of this industry that are multi-generational businesses that are the literal backbone of this country. I just want to see it done in a faster manner to help save these businesses that are out there.
Yeah, it's a challenging time in trucking. You know, we see that. We keep looking for data that tells us things are going to get better. I mean, capacity is leaving. Gosh, if you're the one who's leaving, that's not a good feeling, and it's not a good reality for you. If you're a fleet or a driver that's still around and will be on the back end of this, there's going to be a lot of demand. But this is a real winnowing. This is a real time where people are being put through the crucible of fire, and those that come out, there will be real opportunity. And of course, we do know as registration fees come due and those get paid, we see another round of exits and closures. So capacity is going away. I guess my question to you, Chris, as one who talks about this and engages with your guests, what are you seeing on the capacity stage, and are we getting close to balance?
I think it's too early to tell on where things are from a capacity standpoint. I think that after, I would say later January, early February is going to be a very clear indicator. If rates continue to stay elevated, if tender rejections continue to stay higher, then that to me, that's an indicator that capacity has continued to leave the market and that things are going to, improve out there. But I look at it there's the overall trucking economy as a whole right now has been deflated for an extremely long time. And I think that if anything is going to be purged here in the coming years, and I am a broker, so I don't like saying this, I feel like freight brokers are going to be going under at a rapid pace here over the time frame. I feel like any capacity that is in the market that has made it this far, I think they're about to embark upon a very large economic boom that could come their way. And I think a lot of it is predicated on how much the current administration wants to continue to enforce this, because I'm of the mindset that them dropping a hammer on this stuff and prosecuting these individuals who are side-skirting the laws, who are operating illegal trucking companies out there, the farther they push this, the harder they push this, the more and more that behavior is going to be deterred. And then if that is that capacity tipping point that is out there, the carriers who are operating under legal context are going to have a very flourishing time here over the coming years, because I feel like again, I don't know if anything is ever as bad or as good as people try and make it out in the media and social media and everything else. I try and call balls and strikes the way that I see it, John. But I will say this, if they continue to push this, and then there are like actual prosecutions and actual steps in that right direction, I feel like those legal trucking companies that are out there that, like, frankly, make up the overwhelming majority of the industry, I think that could be the greatest economic boom that some of these carriers have seen for quite some time.
Yes. Well, I would say part of our challenge as we talk about this, you're a large presence with your various media channels, is to help the non-trucking world understand that we are not a hot mess. Because if someone were to jump into this conversation, it would sound like everything's wrong and everything's broken. Well, there are pieces for sure, but trucking still is the dominant mode. We still have successful companies. We have segments of this industry because of what they haul, whether they're dedicated carriers or specialized, that while not doing great are performing, well, in a profitable manner. So I think our challenge is how do we encourage and give hope to the people that are still grinding that there is an opportunity here, hold bad actors accountable, and either improve their performance or they just need to exit, and continue to tell the story that trucking's going to be here. We're the masters of the workaround, and the composition may look a little different, but trucking's not going away. We're going to deliver for the people.
No, I agree with that. And, you're coming up on being in your position, and you've been doing this for quite some time. And, and I've been in this industry my entire life. This is a very brief window of time that this has kind of been at the forefront, right? I would say trucking is about as stable as a career path as any that is coming up here, especially with all the talk in technology and AI and everything else. I still feel like the American trucker is going to continue to be a very flourishing career path for a lot of individuals out there.
Yes. Yeah. Ironically, coming up here on the 11th of January, my 30th year as president of the Minnesota Trucking Association. And I say that because it's quite an honor. It's a tremendous industry. And I keep going at it because I love the people I work for. I love the people I work with. We represent fleets of all sizes and shapes, but most of the people I interact are family-owned businesses. So I see their heart, I see their passion, I see their commitment. And so I'm happy to do the work I do, things like today, to talk, to advance trucking.
Yeah, I love it, John. And John, how does anybody get access to this report that you guys put together? Can they go to your guys' website? How do they get notification on this? Because again, there's a lot of really good information that is in here. And I think it'd be awesome for individuals to be able to get access to the Resurgence action plan.
There is a website, Chris, and I'm going to email that to you so you can post it on your platform there, and they can get a full copy of it.
Perfect. We'll do that. And for any of you out there, if you want a copy of this after John gets it to me, just hit me up, DM me. I'll send you guys a copy of this. Again, this is phenomenal information out there. And again, you guys, that is going to be it for today, though. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank that show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the back.